Hello again YouTube, Pan here. And I was searching around for sort of a talking point to begin this video off with, and however I do have a little something for you this week, and it's been a bit of a pivot. I know I've been doing a lot of gold lately. No particular reason for that, that's just sort of the way that my purchasing has been kind of going lately, so it means I've had more interesting, exciting gold stuff to look at, but we're doing a bit of a pivot back today to have a look at something silver. So with that clue in mind, what's in the purse this time? It's one of Backyard Bullion's creations. It's an antiqued pirate round. Now this was the first Backyard Bullion piece I ever picked up, and indeed my first piece of hand-poured silver. And it weighs in at a quite chunky 2.16 troy ounces. And it's a very pleasant thing to hold in the hand. I have to say though, it always feels smaller when I hold it compared to a 2-ounce coin. And I really think that, in terms of tactile sensation, one thing that really makes a big difference is the exact shape. So this has actually got quite soft, gently curving edges. Whereas, say, a Queen's Beast 2-ounce coin has got those, kind of nice crisp edges from being minted, and so it just kind of feels chunkier in the hand. Whereas this is, it's almost possible to forget quite how heavy it is until you sort of drop it and suddenly it falls like a stone. You hear a massive thump as it hits the floor. But what I really wanted to talk about today, what I really wanted to kind of have a little bit of a ponder about, is the antiquing process. So in this particular design, which I feel is really quite fun, and I love the wood effect of the background, the antiquing really makes such a difference. Like, I don't imagine this would be anywhere near as pretty if it hadn't been antiqued. And in fact, I, for contrast, want to quickly pull up one of BYB's other pieces that I have, a 2017 silver foreign bar. Now, this hasn't been antiqued, and you can really see how much of a difference it makes. First of all, it's super shiny. Like, even though it's kind of been out and I've, fondled it, held it in my hands and things, it's still super shiny. And if anything, the areas where it's been stamped, the recess areas, look, if anything, kind of a crisper and whiter shade of shiny than the rest of it. I mean, they're there, you can read it fine, but I really feel like if these had been antiqued, you see you've got the serial number there and all these, wonderful little recess, and you've got the hallmarks on the side. I just feel like these would be much nicer on the eye if this had been antiqued. And of course at this point we're still talking about deliberate antiquing. But antiquing is basically a chemical reaction that happens to the exterior surface of the silver, typically using a sulfate. But it will just tend to happen naturally anyway. I mean, if you have any silver jewellery, then the key thing to do is keep it in a non-tarnished case or a non-tarnished bag, and have a cleaning cloth for removing silver tarnish on it. But it will tarnish with time if you just leave it be. And I've got a couple of pieces here that really illustrate quite how nice things can be when you let them tarnish that way. So first up, returning for another video, is the 1/2 ounce tiger shark coin that we've seen before. This was the one that I got given by the European Mint for doing an unboxing video. And I've only had it for maybe 6 months or so, and it may not show up particularly well on the camera, but it's already got some lovely toning going on. It's already, to my eye at least, kind of feels like it's sort of turning orange at the edges, especially on the obverse. If you kind of have a good look around sort of where you've got like the 50 cents there, particularly around the edges and sort of the features, the top of the crown up there. The whole thing has already started to tarnish, and I like that. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the really frosty finish they had. I felt like it was always going to spoil anyway, and This is kind of, nice kind of steady creep of colour. First of all, I really like it because it accentuates the details in the coin, which I'm a big fan of. I like being able to see what's going on with it. But also compared to what the other phenomenon that tends to happen to modern silver coins of milk spotting, this looks so much nicer. This isn't kind of, big ugly white splotches like somebody's dripped toothpaste on it. This kind of looks like a coin ought to look, and it's still got, if I get it under a bit more light, you can still see it's got a lot of luster left. So it's not like, kind of this coin is, losing its specialness or losing things that clearly show that this is, kind of uncirculated and well taken care of. Look at that. But at the same time, it's just getting this little bit of, I guess, a little bit of character, I'd call it. I'm a big fan of this. I really like that for a look. And this is only really the beginning of the journey. I mean, as you've seen when I've shown you antique coins, this can keep going until the entire coin is almost nearly black, or, if you handle it, then all the way upstairs will be nicely lightened, and it just sort of, the whole decoration will stick out quite nicely. So there's that example. The other thing is that sometimes toning can tell you a bit about what you're looking at. So what I have here is another one of the pickups that I got in Japan. So I wound up going to a coin auction, which was a very strange experience by and of itself. And I picked up a couple of pieces, one of which is this 1,000 yen coin from the Tokyo Olympics. So I think it works slightly better if I have it slightly in the shade. You can see it again, it's got this lovely kind of almost rainbow pattern of toning going on, where you've got this kind of dark and you've got kind of hints of the rainbow effect around the edges, so it looks very pretty on this side. Now when I flip it over to this side, the side that has the business end, I guess, of things going on, it's got the Olympic rings, it's got the 1,000 yen and 1984 Tokyo, oh, another 1984 coin. But you can see the toning on this is quite distinctive. It's not completely even. In fact, it's got a quite clear pattern to it. So again, you've got, this is a well taken care of coin. It's got a lot of luster. You can see it's got like the little radial shimmeriness that you get from a coin that's not been treated too badly. But something has clearly happened to it, or I don't know if this was because it was like wiped at some point, or kind of smeared with something, maybe at the mint or something like that. But you can see these really strong, almost horizontal streaks running across it. So whatever it is, something has clearly happened to this coin at some point that has made it ever so slightly more favourable for the toning reaction to happen in some places and not in others. And again, this looks very much like it's just natural toning. And it remains, kind of still a very, very pretty coin. And again, me, I like coins with a story, and so this coin, the fact that something interesting has clearly happened to it is a big draw for me. I really like that. I mean, obviously it's got a certain amount of history anyway, being a coin commemorating the Olympics. Now, coming back to natural versus artificial toning, when I made this ring, what I did was I actually basically just stuck it in a tiny little Tupperware box along with some mushed up egg. And left it there, and it got quite dark, and then I polished it, and it polished up basically shinier than I had planned. Like, you can still see all the detail on it, so it's not like I completely polished it away. But it's still quite bright and shiny. And I'm happy with it, I'm kind of content with the way it looks on my finger. But what's also interesting is what's happened since. So this kind of side has kind of stayed roughly the same level of tonedness. But if you look on the edge, right where my finger goes, there's quite a lot more darkening kind of just here. And then my finger sits here, and then there's kind of more just on the side there. And that raises a bit of an interesting question, because I know that that I used, and then again the same on the opposite side. So again, we've got a much darker area here, sitting next to where it's been rubbing against the adjacent finger. Now this raises a bit of an interesting question because, well, I used egg to antique it originally, and it's the sulphur in the egg white that causes the tarnishing to happen. So does this mean that I'm like sweating sulphur? And what does that mean? Am I some kind of demon? I don't know. And again, if you look at the end, you can see the side that sits closest to my finger is much darker than the outer rim. So again, if I put it on, you can see like where it sits against my finger is where the darkest toning is. So what does this mean? Is it just a natural reaction to kind of human contact and sweat, or is it that I'm secretly some kind of hellborn monstrosity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And also let me know, what are your thoughts on antiquing? Is it a lovely thing to do to bring out the detail in a piece? Or is it monstrosity and you should only ever let things change naturally? Okay, bye for now.